Hi loves, you are welcome to Olives. In this video, I'll share with you how to draft this simple trouser with a half elastic waistband. So you want to keep on watching and let's get right into this video. I'll start by drawing a starting line. I'll indicate my crotch depth. My usual crotch depth is 11.5 inches. So this is how I got the 11.5 inches. Let's assume this is me, okay, sitting on a flat surface like a seat. If this is my waist, I will measure from my waist through to my hip down to the base of the seat, and that will be your crotch depth, okay? Otherwise, divide your hip by 4 and add about 1 inch, at most 1.5 inch to quarter of your hip. So I'm going to deduct 1.5 inch. This is 1.5 inch from my total crotch depth, which will serve as my band length, okay? So this 10 inches that I have left, I will then add an extra half inch. This half inch will help me to join the waist of the trouser to the band. From the starting point, I'll mark crotch depth of 10.5 inches. I'll then mark 1-2 inches above the 10.5 inches, and that will serve as my hip line. I'm going to draw in my border line from the edge of the paper. This starting line is the same as the waistline, okay? So from the waistline, I'll input the length of my trouser. The length of my trouser is going to be 39 inches. I'll then add 1.5 inch as hemming allowance. Now to determine my waist to knee, I'm going to take the measurement from here, from my crotch depth down to the length of my trouser. Divide this distance by 2. So I'm going to pick my tape this way. I'm not stopping here. I'll mark up 2 inches from that point, and this will be my knee line. So whatever distance I have from my crotch depth down to my knee line now, I'll take note of it and then mark it across. We have our waistline, hip line, crotch depth, knee line, and then the hem of our trouser. On this line, I'll input quarter of my hip measurement, and that is 10.75 inch. I'm then going to add an extra half inch for allowance. So that is 11.25 inch. So from this red line, hope you can see, I'll place my tape from there, that's 11.25 inch, and mark. I'll mark the same thing on the waistline and then connect these 2 points together. I'm going to input my thigh measurement. The thigh measurement will help you get your crotch extension. This is just your hip is 27.5 inches. That is what I'm working with. For this particular one, you divide it into 2. So this is what I have, okay? Right here, this is where it ends. So what I'm going to do is to input this measurement. But before I do this, you know I added half inch to quarter of my hip measurement before I input it, right? So I will take out that half inch first. I'll just mark out half inch from the side like this. That means I'm trying to exclude the half inch from my thigh measurement. I will then place my tape right here where half of my thigh measurement ends. I'll place it on this line like this and then mark my thigh measurement here. From the hip measurement to this line is the crotch extension. Depending on how huge your thigh is. Yours may be 2 inches, 2.5 inches, 3 inches. It may be more. Connect from this crotch extension with an armhole curve this way. At least make sure you have from the intercept not more than 1.5 inch. My total waist measurement is 30 inches. Divided by 4 is 7.5. So right from here, I'll mark 7.5 inches. I'll add extra 1/2 inch allowance. For the sake of adding elastic band to the back, I'm going to add extra 1.5 inch for ease on the front. Okay, if you intend adding elastic band probably throughout your waist, then maintain 1/4 of your hip on your waistline. Just leave it this way. So I'm going to connect this way from this point to the hip line. Moving down to the knee line. Whatever measurement I have on my crotch line, I'll divide it into 2. I'll take half of this measurement like this, mark it on the waistline, mark it on the knee line as well as the hem of the trouser. My round knee measurement is going to be 19 inches. So I'll divide 19 inches into 2. This 19 inches will be placed on the knee this way, right? But to get a fair measurement, half here, I'm then going to divide again. I'll place the midpoint right here on this center crease line. Where are you? So I'll mark here and also pick my hip curve. Okay, turn it this way, connect from here to the crotch extension. On the hemline as well, I would like to have almost the same measurement on the knee, but then I'll reduce 1 inch. So on my knee, I have a total of 9.5 inches, and deducting 1 inch, that will be 8.5 inches, right? I'll divide this 8.5 inches into 2. Place the center on this center red line, and then I'll mark here 8.5 inches. So I'll go ahead to connect the knee measurement here to the hem, here to the other. I'll fold on the hemline and then I'll cut. On the waistline down, I'll measure 1/2 inch and I'll connect this 1/2 inch to my waistline. I'll definitely cut it out, but that will be after working on my back. I'll also place a notch on the knee line. Also the hem. I went ahead to cut the front piece, and I'm going to use the front pattern to cut the back directly on the fabric. Actually, just the process we use for the front, or how to draft the pattern, you can do that directly on the fabric. Okay, this is just for you to see better, right? So I've placed my front pattern onto the fabric, and I went ahead to mark all these lines that you are seeing, but I will explain soon. So above the waistline, okay, of the front, I went ahead to mark a rise of 1.5 inch. If your hip or your butt is big, use about 2 inches. Bigger, 2.5 inches. Okay, then I went ahead to mark a straight line like this from the hip up, so I can get enough excess on the back. And this excess here is about 2 inches. Yours may differ. All right, now along the crotch area of the front, okay, I went ahead to also give an allowance of about 1 inch, and here's what it looks like. All right, I then went ahead to connect that 1 inch allowance from the crotch area to the side like this. Please take note that I'll be attaching a lap zip at the front crotch, so this will give me more ease to wear the trouser. But if you will not do so, then you need to use your hip measurement at the waist area, so you have enough room to wear your trouser. I'll go ahead to extend the crotch depth onto the back piece this way, and I'll measure a total crotch extension of 3 inches. You may use 2.5 inches to 2 inches. I'll come down from that line by half inch like this. Connect this half inch to my allowance here with my hip curve. So let's move on to the knee area. I'll also extend the knee line, and on this line I'll go ahead to mark an allowance of 2 inches. You can as well mark 2.5 inches, but this is fine for me. Okay, so we are going to connect from this line down, that's the half inch, to meet the knee line like this. Again, with the hip curve, we will repeat the same thing to the hem. 2 inches, connect it with a straight line. As easy as it looks, this is how to go about the back piece. So all I'm going to do is to cut out. So in case you are wondering how the trouser will accommodate the elastic band, then let me help you. Now we have about 1 inch ease on the front, just half of the front, and then we went ahead to give extra room at the back of the trouser, so that alone is going to help accommodate the elastic band. So God willing, in the next tutorial, we will be assembling all of this. You should be able to achieve something like this after the next tutorial. The best thing is to turn on your notification bell. All the same, do like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I'll see you in the next one.